Hello there, all you wonderful humans. Welcome back to Board Game Dads, the podcast, episode number 10.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. I
So
didn't
that
know. I'd never counted numbers, but
I
10. All
I
right.
just checked like literally 30 seconds ago because of the intro. So that's the silver lining in an unfortunate just kind of timing thing here with our podcast, right? We've tried to put something out at the beginning of each month. This is being recorded towards the end of February.
Happy St.
Yeah,
Patrick's Day.
pretty much. So our format will be slightly different than normal because of that. We are still going to talk about things that happened in the month of February,
Mhm.
but we're going to feature, instead of focusing on a lot of the holidays for the month that we usually do, we're going to have a little bit of I guess, a review, but it's a first impressions review of a game that we both recently played for the first time, which we'll get into later. So that'll be a little bit of a different segment than we're used to. But we're glad that you're here regardless for this monumental episode number 10.
10? I thought we did something last February.
Well, yes, but this is since only April of last year have we been calling it just Board Game Dads, the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. We've had other iterations of we definitely have had a February video before. We have a Valentine's Day video specifically
Yeah.
that I can link to if you're all watching this on the YouTube. Maybe a little card will pop up.
Even though Valentine's Day was about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Hope everybody had a great one.
Yeah, so there's that. So let's jump right into the recap of the month then. So Valentine's Day is obviously the probably the holiday that stands out the most when you think of February.
Yeah, but there's also the Super Bowl.
Yes, but it's not a holiday.
No, but it's the Super Bowl.
It is. And
And that usually happens in February, right? I think it hasn't always happened in February, but I'm not exactly sure.
No,
Somebody's gonna have to
it
fact check me
definitely
on that.
used to be towards the end of January.
Yeah, I thought so.
But the season's gotten a little longer over the past few years. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Super Bowl. My Eagles did not come out victorious. It was a hell of
Nope.
a game.
Oh, that's right.
Um,
That's right. You're an Eagles fan.
yeah,
I'm in
yeah,
Eagles country,
you are,
but yeah,
you are.
there's a lot of upset people, and from an outsider's perspective, right? I didn't have a horse to back in this. I'm not an Eagles fan. I'm not a Chiefs fan. The Chiefs got hosed on a call where they tackled Sanders. He fumbled it, and they
Mhm.
took it in for a touchdown, and they got that brought back. That looked like a catch and fumble. And then later on, when they got that terrible holding call, it kind of made up for it, which they shouldn't do in the Super Bowl, like make up at the last 2 minutes of the game. But
That was the big complaint. Yeah.
yeah,
And I'm not a fan that I'm gonna like gripe on that moment and be like, "Oh, the officials screwed up." I mean, there was so much of that going on. There was, memes of
of
the
course,
refs in like a Chiefs jersey and stuff like that, and them getting rings and whatnot. The bottom line is the Eagles defense did not show up in the second half of that call doesn't, that's meaningless. That doesn't give any of the points back. So I'm whatever.
yep.
It is what it is.
There's also President's Day, which celebrates American presidents. But most importantly about President's Day is that I don't have to work. My daughter doesn't have school, and so we can stay home with the family, have a nice day, maybe play some games.
Did you play games?
Uh, I we did not play any board games on
Oh,
President's Day.
what did
More
you
on
play?
that later,
Oh, okay.
real soon. Real soon. Um, I did notice this in February. So we went to Barnes and Noble, our Barnes and Noble recently, which is in Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania,
Mhm.
and where they have a pretty decent board game selection. They had like a note that said more board games in the music department, and we were like, "What? Okay." And, we're going over there thinking there's going to be like 12 games, and we wasted our time walking over here like, oh, more games. And there was a lot more games in the music department, and
Hmm.
they like stood out because they had like the nice shelves and everything where they could have a few copies of a bunch of different things. And they had they had some really good games there that I've never seen at a Barnes and Nobles before.
Hmm.
They had Starship Captains, which I couldn't even find at PAX Unplugged back in December. So
Mm.
we'll be getting that one of these days.
So I wonder if maybe they're like redesigning the
I hope
layout of the
so.
store.
Maybe.
Interesting.
I mean, nobody really buys music anymore, CDs and
Well,
such.
yeah,
It's unfortunate. That was
that's
big.
for sure.
That was a big part of my young adulthood,
Oh,
buying CDs,
of course.
going to concerts and stuff.
There was by us in addition to the Willowbrook Mall, the big mall, there was another like kind of smaller, crappier mall, but that had the Borders Books and Music store, and I mean that was like the best store, man. I loved going there.
We had CD World, which as a, I listened to a lot of punk rock, and CD World had a lot of punk rock. Borders did too. Borders was definitely a good one as well. They were a little more pricey. Anyway, back to board games. And now off of board games. So my wife and I bought a Switch early on in February. That's why we hadn't really been playing a
Ah.
lot of board games. And we already own like 10 different games on the Switch.
Did your
Yeah,
Switch come with any games?
it did not.
Okay. Is that
We've
I don't
never
know
owned a
anything I
Switch.
haven't bought a gaming system in a while. Is that, like, not a thing anymore?
I'll be honest with you, I'm not much of a gamer.
Yeah.
Melissa is. She likes to play all the Zelda stuff. She's out there playing Zelda right now. Um, so we got this because we wanted to, maybe have some video games to play together, and we wanted to try and see if Zoe wanted to start playing games soon. And this is the most kid friendly kind of game system.
Okay.
And so we bought Mario Party, which is kind of like a board game with like just crazy stuff that happens in the
Sure.
board game, and you have to buy stars, and whoever has the most stars wins. We got Super Mario Odyssey, which is also a cooperative multiplayer game. I don't know why I say also. It's the second game I talked about. But one of you plays as Mario, the other one just plays as his hat. And as stupid as that sounds, I love being the hat, and I can just spin off over here and and go and get some coins, and then come back and go back on Mario's head. Then put the controller down, go to the bathroom, go have a snack, and come back, and and Melissa's just playing the whole time as Mario with his hat, and it's great. Then we got Super Mario 3D World, which is just a multiplayer cooperative Mario world that has been out before. We had it on Wii U, but we thought this was a different game, and we bought it, and it wasn't. We're still going to check it out. Mario Kart, everybody knows Mario Kart. It's a racing game. Super Smash
Yeah.
Brothers. I am awesome at Super Smash Brothers. Apparently, even though I'm not much of a gamer, I played way too much of this in college that it's muscle memory at this point. Like, I hadn't picked up a controller in such a long time. We got Smash Brothers, and I was almost like a flawless victory. So, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure Melissa loved that.
Well, we get to play on the same team. Yeah, you can
Oh,
change this.
okay.
You can play like I think up to 8 players on that, and you can have a few players on one color team, and you can just pick on a bunch of computer players and just yeah, it's cool. Then there's Luigi's Mansion 3, which after you play for about an hour becomes a cooperative game.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I've never played one of those before, but it's cool. You walk around, you are use a vacuum to like suck up coins and stuff, and pull sheets off of beds, and then ghosts come out, and then you got to suck them into this vacuum, and yeah.
So, do you find Mario? Is that how it becomes cooperative?
Well, in this one, a bunch of like Luigi's pals, like Mario and the princesses, and I don't know, Toads, I guess, all went to this mansion. They got invited, and then it was like the villain from previous Luigi's mansions,
Mm,
which I haven't played. But in this one, yes, Mario's there. Got turned into like a ghost painting or something. You got to like find him and the rest of them and free them.
cool.
All right. There's also Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity, which is a Zelda-ish game.
Mhm.
We've played this just a little bit. We can play cooperatively on the same team. You're both on the same map, but it's split screen. So like, you can go north, I can go south. You go up to I don't know, like a bunch of goblins, and you hit a couple of buttons on the joist on the pad, like just attack a couple of times. Like 20 goblins just go flying back. Like you're you're really kicking the crap out of these things. It feels really good. Um, and then there's Zelda Link's Awakening, which
Mm,
Melissa's playing right now. I believe that is a remake of a previous Zelda game, but it looks better. I'm not 100% on that.
okay.
And then finally on the picture is Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Now I love Marvel. I love cooperative games. I played all the Ultimate Alliance games and the X-Men Legends games, which was like the same system before it became Ultimate Alliance. So this is great. You get a bunch of like characters that you unlock. You can play as four of them at a time, and you just going through this thing, and it's a beat 'em up. But you're using powers. Great game. One last game I want to talk about the Switch. I know this is a board game thing, but this is really cool. Stardew Valley. So Stardew
Mm,
Valley is a board game that was
mhm,
made from. So last night, now today is, I don't know what today is, but last night I almost downloaded Stardew Valley because I have a little bit of money on my eShop card, and it's $15. And a bunch of games that were on sale for just one more day. So
mm.
I'm very impatient, and I'm pretty reckless when I'm playing it. So like I should have just bought it last night, but I didn't. I waited. I went on there today. I checked it out. 750. It was half price. I was so
Oh,
excited. Like,
look at you.
yeah, like I felt like I saved like $100 or something.
Good self-restraint.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Now they do have on eShop to download. You can get they have Wingspan and Catan, just that you
Okay.
can play on the Switch. I own both of the. Actually, I don't own regular Catan, but like I don't have them. I'm probably not going to download them in that. But that's pretty
Well,
cool.
yeah, I have Catan on Fire tablet
Hmm.
because that's like you can play against the AI and do some trading and stuff. It's a game that you're not gonna play
I
with
would
with
play
just
that.
one other player, right? So,
Right.
like, having it in that aspect is kinda cool. Awesome. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad you guys are enjoying that Switch. So then I don't
Yeah.
again, I'm gonna sound like a noob here when I ask this question, but
I am a
so
noob.
no, you're not.
Except for in Smash Brothers.
The
Smash
Switch
Brothers.
the Switch can be played portable, and then it can also be played on your television?
Yeah, so it's kind of like a widescreen, and then you
Right.
have like these two Joy-Con, like little blue or red things that connect to them that have a joystick and buttons.
Got it.
And so you can hold the whole thing and play it, or you can take those two little joysticks off and play as each one as a tiny little controller. Or you can take both of them, slide them into this other thing so that it looks like a regular controller.
Mhm.
Or you can buy another controller that you can just use that looks like a regular controller for like $25 and it's wireless. So we bought another controller. So now we have, the red and blue Joy Cons on the one controller. Then we have the other controller, and that's it. We play two-player games. If we need
Okay.
more, then we split up with the Joy Cons.
Cool.
Yep.
Sweet. Well, that was a lot of video games for a board
Yeah,
game
for
podcast,
us
huh?
too. For in a month, you know how much money we spent on that, man?
I don't want to know. No.
Oh, we got a lot of it from like Christmas money and gift cards.
Sure.
So like, yeah, we didn't just like drop like $500 on video games because it was February, whatever that means. But we did.
All right. Well, speaking of February, is there anything else in the month that you want to touch on before we move on to the next segment here?
I don't think so. It's
Okay.
mostly been video games.
Yep. All right. Sounds good. So, is it time for some poems?
Yeah, it's time for some poems.
All right. So, another change here, temporary change. We usually have two poems each, but we're gonna go with one each this time, just
Yeah,
for time's sake.
between the two of us, we've phoned it in enough times that we're just gonna do one poem each
All right. So,
because
who's going? Me or you?
I'm ready. I think.
All right. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I got mine. All right.
Is a limerick or haiku?
This is a limerick.
Okay.
There once was a penguin or a polar bear who was standing on an ice hexagon or a square. It doesn't matter who might win. The penguin or polar bear is going for a swim, which in the broader sense seems pretty unfair.
Interesting. All right. So I'm thinking that there's a re-implementation of a game that's older. So would this be Thin Ice?
Nope.
No.
No, that was close though.
Huh. What is
Don't
it?
break the ice.
Oh, is
Yeah,
Thin Ice is a game too, though, right?
I think so, but I feel like that had like toilet paper and water. Like,
It's a
you know what I'm
second grade
talking about?
science experiment.
I think that's what it was. It was like toilet paper and like you put some water on it, and then you put your guy there, and if he fell through the toilet paper, it's thin ice.
So don't break the ice. Is it still called that? Just as polar bear now?
I guess so.
Interesting. All right.
Mhm.
All right. All right. Well done. Well done.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right. So mine will be later on in the show.
Okay. Is yours a limerick or a haiku?
Mine's a haiku actually.
Okay.
So we didn't plan that, but we got one of each, which is nice. Cool. All right. So on to some board games. It's time for the last three. Eric, explain what the last three means.
They are the last 3 games that we have played.
There you go.
Not together, but each of us separately.
Right. Right.
Although,
In this
here's a
particular
little bit of
instance.
foreshadowing.
Eh,
Our most recent game for each of us has been the same game. That's the game we're going to talk about more than usual.
Yeah, sure. That'll be our extended segment.
Yes.
All right. So before we get to that, we're going to start with the first one here. So I played a game that I had never heard of before. Although, well, let me let me put some context here. It just came out in 2022, so it's not like it's a game that's existed for years.
Okay.
I never heard of before, but definitely an under the radar 2022 release that I had not heard of until Chris and Ryan over at the Tabletop Express shared it with me, and we actually played it on a live stream a couple days ago, or a few days ago by the time you guys hear this. That's called Time of Empires.
Hmm.
So nothing about this cover really, besides the fact that there's a bunch of people from a bunch of different time periods. And again, if you're if you're listening to this in podcast form, you don't know what we're talking about. But the
That
cover,
hourglass looks like it's from a different time period of board games.
yeah, well, it's more integral than you think.
Yeah, I
Uh,
bet.
but the cover here has got like a World War II soldier battling with like a medieval archer, and there's like a an airplane in the background as well. So it's a game that it's a civilization game. It takes place over 3 ages, which could describe a whole lot of games. The biggest and weirdest thing about this is it's a worker placement game where your workers are the sand timers. So it's a real-time worker placement civilization game. In addition to that, it's also app driven in that there's an app timer. Okay, so you play over these 3 ages. I believe they're 9 minutes each.
There's an app timer and hourglass timers?
Mhm.
Huh.
So the app timer is going to be how long you're playing that first age, 9 minutes. You get two sand timers for your workers. And when the time starts, you're going to place your one of your worker slash sand timers out on a space and do whatever action that is. And then you can go ahead and place your second worker slash sand timer on another space and do whatever that says. And then you need to wait until those timers run out before you can move them to a different spot and do another action. So it is a very frantic stand up. We were not sitting down during this kind of game. It's it's insane. There's so much going on. It's got some area majority to it. It's obviously worker placement. It's got some buildings and some terrain and things like that. And I'm gonna stop myself now because I'm already forgetting to do the patented Eric thing, which is give the actual pertinent information about this game. So let me rewind here. Time of Empires by David Simeon and Pierre Voyer, perhaps. Art by Gail Lenorian. Plays 2 to 4 in about 45-60 minutes. They say ages 12 and up. This is from Pearl Games, who I think recently announced they're going out of business. And yeah, so that's that. So in addition to your own player board, where there are worker placement spots to go to, there's also shared spots that have scoring opportunities from different wonders that are going to be coming up throughout the game, as well as different leaders. So it's got like everything you'd expect from a civilization game, but just this whole aspect of it being, 30 seconds per spot that you take is really, really crazy. I don't know if I loved it. I think I would play it again because I want to be better at it. Although, in my defense, I came in third place only by a point. So I did better than I thought I was going to do.
How many people played?
3 players.
So you came in last.
Yeah, I came in
Oh,
last, but only by a point. I I was thinking that first and second would be close together, and I would have been like, really, really far behind. Anyway,
Alright.
what I don't like about this game is because it's real time and it's your first play. There's there's not a lot of rules clarification time going on, right? Or like asking
Mm,
questions
right,
like,
right.
what is this card like? Hey Ryan, stop doing what you're doing in this real time game and explain to me what this card says. It's
Yeah.
not like a good flow
You
for
gotta go
things.
back 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. I put my sand timer on the side and pause time here. Um, yeah, there's a bunch of hex tiles where you're expending your influence and your clans and things like that. And like I said, it's craziness. It was definitely fun. I had fun doing it. I don't think I need to own this game by any means, but I would definitely play it again. But just a really odd combination of stuff. I'd be curious to see what others think of this.
So, is this kinda similar? Because it sounds kinda similar to Kitchen Rush, where I think they use the hourglass timers in that as well, where you're going over and you gotta turn the hourglass, and now you have to wait for this thing to cook. Have you ever
Oh,
played
okay.
that?
I never
Is this
played that.
okay, I think there was, I think we talked about this for another game as well, maybe Rush MD I thought was like that, or Hospital Rush or something like that.
I know that game Pendulum has something similar with sand
Okay,
timers as your workers.
I don't think I know that one,
Mm.
but yeah, that's interesting to use a sand timer as a worker. It's not like a
It's
sand
interesting.
timer that when I see a sand timer, I'm thinking, oh, great, here's this thing that's on the side of the board while I'm concentrating on what's in front of me that I'm not even paying attention to. And I hate that. Like give me a warning, like a beeping or something
Right, right,
to let
right.
me know that time is running up because I'm not trying to lose focus on this just to look over here and see how much sand is left or sugar. It looks like sugar.
Yeah, no, in this game, you're definitely watching those timers like a hawk
Okay,
because
yeah.
you gotta
When
do
they're
some
your
of that
workers, that's because you just
exactly.
okay, he's done.
Yeah, yeah. So, it's cool. You can play it as turn-based without the timers. I think I'm pretty sure that Ryan said that. I don't know if the game has that much to offer in that aspect, right? Because I feel like the sand timer as the worker is like the shtick. Otherwise, it's a worker placement civilization themed game. I don't know if it's that like unique at that point,
Right.
but
You have a
tis
good
what it
time,
is.
you put it on your shelf, and you never play it again.
I mean, I'm glad I got to play it once to say that I did, but yeah, definitely not going into my collection anytime soon. How about you though? What is your first of your last three?
All right. Well, we have not been playing a lot of board games, but we still make time to play games with the kids. So
Mm.
this is Don't Drop Chase, which is a re-implementation of Don't Break the Ice,
Got it.
which came out in 1968.
Dang.
Yeah. So this is the game where you have, I think it started with squares or cubes or whatever,
Yeah,
and now
yeah.
it's hexagons, and you have this tiny little hammer, and you have to pick one hexagon, and you just got to knock it out without dropping all the ice. And
Mhm.
there's a little spinner, and it'll tell you if you got to do the white ice, the blue ice, or if you have to choose, or if you get to skip your turn.
Mm.
And so that's it. I this is now we talked recently about on a different podcast about Paw Patrol board games. This is my favorite Paw Patrol board game.
Got it. Yes, I did ask
Yeah,
you that last time. Yep.
yeah. It's just pasted on theme. It's really just you could put anybody in the middle there. You could put a tiny little like Wonder Woman figure, and it would be don't drop Wonder Woman or whatever. But this one's got Chase. Okay,
Well, then
great.
why'd you say polar bears in your poem then?
Because the original one had polar bears,
Oh.
and then that was redone in like I think the 80s or 90s. Maybe even the current one has penguins.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay, okay.
I wanted to have both of them to make it kind of easier. But
Gotcha.
I thought there was a chance that I would be doing that limerick after talking about this game, so I'm glad I went first.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's a good thing you went first. That's funny. Ah,
Yep,
that's cool. I like little dexterity games like that.
me
Definitely
too.
fun to play with the kids.
And you know what? And even just when the game's over and you have to clean it up, you take all those cubes and you put them back in so that the next time you play, it's there.
Mhm.
And they're hexagons. They're not the easiest things to slide in perfectly, but I make Zoe help. And so she's got to do that. She's got to turn them
Right.
just slightly and put them in there. So that,
Sweet.
yep.
Awesome. Well, my next of the last three is another game that came out just last year that I had never heard of here. This is why it's great to have, people in the gaming community that just bring other stuff to the table you've never heard of. I'm trying to go to like some meetups every now and then and try to go over and play with Chris and Ryan a little bit more. And this is another game that Ryan had that I had never heard of before. I think you're gonna love this. Spots. Have you heard of
Hmm.
this?
I have not,
I think you're gonna buy this game.
but I like that cute little. I like those fat little dogs on the
Dude,
cards.
you're gonna buy this game. All the cards are different. They all have funny different dogs that look different positions. There's one in particular that I'm not gonna spoil for you that is really funny. But this is from designers Alex Haig, John Perry, and Justin Vickers with art by John Boyd. Could play 1 to 4 in about 30 minutes, ages 10 and up, from a publishing company I never heard of called CMYK. I don't know what that stands for. I didn't bother to look it up. But this is a dice rolling game with a little push your luck where you're trying to just allot the die faces to these cards to basically collect the dog. In that case, you flip the card over and it's part of your dog pack. It's a race to 6 cards. First person to get 6 dogs finished wins the game. What's happening during gameplay, though, is you're going to be picking one of 6 ways to like roll dice, like one of 6 things to do. That's the action selection part, where they're all different tricks: roll over, beg, fetch, all this kind of stuff. So you pick one of those things to do, you roll whatever dice that says, and then you can allot them to the cards of dogs you have in front of you, or if they don't match anything, they have to go into your little, you bury them basically in your reserve here. The push your luck comes in that in your reserve, you can't have more than 7 spots. So you can't have higher than 7 total pips in those dice that you buried. If you do, you bust. And when you bust, you lose all the dice from all your current cards that you've been working on. So it really sucks to bust in this game. You also have little dog treats, which will let you do some re rolling. Other than that, that's basically the whole game. The way the actions work is when you pick one of those tricks to do, one of those ways to roll your dice, you flip it over and then it's not available for anyone else to pick. When 5 of the 6 tricks have been chosen, the last one gets a free dog treat on them to further intrigue you to take that one next time. They all flip back over and you start a new round. This was really fun game, pretty quick. Artwork is really cute and fun. And it was just a cool aspect. It was, a step up from a lot of. There's a game like this called Roll For It, where you're just rolling dice and trying to match them to the cards to get points. But because you have the different tricks, it adds a lot of variability into how you're going to be rolling the dice, and you don't play with all the tricks that come with the game. So a whole bunch of other ones that you're not going to use every time. This is a lot of fun. I think once you play this, I think this is going to be an instant buy for you. The dog theme with the dice rolling, the push your luck, the cute artwork. This is a winner. I think if either of us played this game prior to us making our best of 2022 list, that this might have had a chance to sneak on there somewhere.
Mm.
You know,
So,
speculation, but
are the dogs learning tricks?
no, the tricks are just how you're rolling the dice.
Okay.
So, like, there was one, for example, that we had. I think it was rollover. A rollover let you roll 8 dice and pick one value to take all of them of. So if you
Hmm.
had, because you could be working on multiple dogs at once. So if you
So
had, 3 dogs out, go ahead.
I gotta tell you, I would have thought that roll over means flip the die to the opposite side,
Yeah, that's a good point.
right? Or to any adjacent side and any side except for the opposite side.
Right, right, right. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different ones. And like I said, we only used 6. I don't know if that's standard setup, if you always use 6, or if that was a
Hmm.
player count thing. Um, But yeah, some of them let you roll the dice from your reserve, or switch things around a little bit. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Spots, I think, is a winner, and I think it's going to be added to one, if not both, of our collections at some point.
I already added it to my Amazon cart.
Oh, that's
25 bucks.
fantastic.
It's
How much is
so
it? 25
adorable.
bucks?
25
Yeah.
bucks.
I think it's worth it. There's a lot of dice. I mean, just physically, you're getting a lot of dice for the
I
value.
really like that art.
The art's
Just
really good.
cute little fat doggies.
Yep. Yep.
That's cute.
And they're all I had a car that was called what was it? It was called Doog, Doog, and it was a cow and not a dog. But yeah, some of them have, only one die spot, some have three or four. There
Mm,
might be even five. So yeah, it's cool. Definitely a lot of
nice.
fun. That's spots. All right,
All
what's
right.
next up for you?
Next up for me is another kids game.
Yeah.
This one is Animal Upon Animal Unicorns. And there is a picture of my cute daughter Zoe. We played this game. She's 3.5, and she was able to stack all these. Now she technically lost on this next. If that was the video, when she put that next one out,
Oh,
she knocked
okay.
over. She knocked over one of those blue butterflies. But I let her try to put everything back on just so she could stack it. And she's getting really good at stacking them like this. She
Sweet.
knows, it's like a dexterity. Like you have to be careful. So this was a lot of fun. Anyway, this is designed by Klaus Miltenberger, published by Haba, released in 2020. Although it's re-implementing regular Animal Upon Animal, which came out in, I'm not sure. I didn't look it up. Anyway, the game plays in 15 minutes, which is pretty much the truth. It plays 1 to 4 for ages 4 and up. So I only have this version. I can't tell you if this is any different from the regular Animal Upon Animal.
Mhm.
I think that this is very similar to Animal Upon Animal Dinosaurs because I think they both came out at the same time. But you basically roll a die. That die is going to tell you if you're going to put one animal on this little green meadow, if you're going to put two animals on the meadow, if somebody else is going to like choose one of yours that you're going to put on the meadow, or if you're going to put something next to the meadow, and it's just six faces, and you roll, you see what you're going to put and where, and then you try to put whatever on there, and it's fun. Zoe seems to like it. It's got cute meeples,
That's
and
great.
so it's a cute little kids game.
Does she ask you
Definitely.
to play it? Like,
She
does she
asked me to
bring it
play
up?
board games, and then
Okay.
so we usually knock out like 2 or 3 games in a row
Right,
because they're
right.
only going to take like 10, 15 minutes each. And so that's one that she'll pick. I'll be like, "All right, what do you want to play?" There's a couple that when she brings them over, I'm like, "No,
Mm.
no, we're not playing that one."
But if it's Paw Patrol Ice version, I'm in.
Yeah, there is a Paw Patrol game that we won't play.
Okay.
It's the Paw Patrol Trouble,
Mm.
which A is a super long game,
Yeah, Trouble's rough.
and B, like, it's tough for her to push that bubble still.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
For Valentine's Day, AJ got a very small version of Hungry Hungry Hippos. It's a two-player only version,
Okay.
and yeah, it took him a while to figure out the angle that he had to use and which part of his hand to use to push out like on the lever. The single finger wasn't doing it for him. So that was kind of fun. But it
Yeah.
has a dome, which is awesome. So the balls don't go
Oh,
all over the
cool.
place. Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
pretty cool. All right, so we're at the number three of both of our last three, and it's going to be the game that we go a little bit into further detail of, I guess, than usual.
Mhm.
It's not going to be a straight up, full review because we've only played it one time, so it'd be kind of weird to do that. I mean, we'll have initial thoughts, obviously, but
It
this is definitely one that we've both
it
been looking
should
forward to.
Yeah, it should be no surprise what this game is based on the fact that we talked about the other games. Um, so yeah, this is
Motor City, the long-awaited third game in the loaded roll and write series from Matt Riddle and Ben Pinchback, who've done Fleet the Dice Game and Three Sisters. This one, Motor City, also comes with designer Adam Hill, and it's all about the automotive industry in Detroit. This is a game that we both kickstarted. Look forward to getting. We have one play in only, so this is going to be kind of first impressions kind of thing.
right.
But my initial thought in terms of comparing it to the other 2 games, 'cause that's gonna be the question that keeps coming up, right? How does it rank? I think it is the crunchiest. It definitely has the most iconography, I believe, or it could just seem that way because it's new. But I don't know. For me, there was a lot of like finding icons on the sheets,
Yeah,
like searching for stuff, right?
yeah. There's a few different there's two different sheets that you have there, and
Hmm.
they both have at least like four different tracks or areas of symbols.
Yeah.
So it's a little overwhelming
Oh yeah.
for a roll and write, which is why you call it a loaded roll and write, which is a great term for it because it's a tough learn,
Hmm.
especially if you're like, oh, it's a roll and write. Well, I know it's going to be a little bit tougher. It's a lot a bit tougher. It's still a fun game, but it definitely you know go into this knowing this isn't going to be the easiest thing to learn and understand
Oh
if
yeah.
you're expecting just a regular roll and write.
I
And
think the
I would say it's even more difficult than Three Sisters, which also had a very very busy map and a lot of stuff going on.
oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I think this is a little harder as well.
Yeah,
So let's talk about what makes the game different than the other two. Besides, the icons obviously are different. The theme is different.
we got five
The
dice or six dice technically, right?
right, right.
Usually, you only got like one, two dice in a regular roll and write.
Well, yeah, but compared to, I mean, Fleet the Dice Game and Three Sisters also have a bunch of dice. That part's kind of the same,
Oh, that's true.
but the way that you're picking them is kind of different in this one too, or what you're
Right.
doing with them, I should say. Um, the major difference in this game is the way that the scoring works because you're gonna score every round. So the only way to score points is by the speedometer section of the game. And every round you're going to get whatever points you've reached highest on that. So for our first round, I'm pretty sure we all scored 0. And then after that, it's like 1, and then maybe you got 2, and then it was like maybe you got 2 again, then 3, and then 5, et cetera, et cetera. So that's different. The way you're getting those points is, oh boy, a whole bunch of different stuff,
Yeah.
right? There's a research track, there's production, there's sales, there's engineering, there's all kinds of stuff going on. The sheets look really cool. I mean, I think the only thing I was a little unclear of that I had to reference the rule book, and I should say I found the rule book to be very easy to navigate. Um,
Okay.
I didn't struggle with finding stuff. It was look it up, there it is. Okay, that makes sense. The only thing that I was a little confused on at first was so during those tracks, there's regular square spaces, but then there's also those larger like hexagon shaped spaces, which are called hubs, and they have a requirement as well as a reward. And it was a little confusing at first to know which one was which. Like you have to get these things to receive this thing. That part was a little confusing to me. Um, but after that, it was pretty smooth sailing. But yeah, it's a tough learn as a first play for sure. I am looking forward to playing this game more because there's a lot to explore. Right, I feel like in Fleet the Dice Game, I've kind of gotten a solid strategy down. Not that it plays the same every single time, but like there's a few things that I don't waste my time on anymore in Fleet.
Okay.
In
I
Three
don't think I've played
Sisters,
Fleet enough to know that yet. But
okay, yes, that's my most played out of these three for sure.
now, after one play of Motor City, um, I have my sheets and Melissa's sheets, and we both had very similar ideas. So this is our track. This is I don't know if hers or mine. And there's these three tracks on the bottom, and we both went after this 8 track, and then this I don't know fat lazy 8 laying on its side on both.
Mm,
Neither one of us went after the first one. We both only went to one or two engineering things,
mhm.
and so we had very similar scores. I think it was 54 to 52.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at no point did it feel like she had an advantage over me, or that I was, like leaving her in the dust or anything. Like it felt very tight. I didn't really. There's so much going on that the last thing I'm concerned about is, oh, what's she doing on her? There's no time to be
Right.
looking at somebody else's papers and try to figure out what they're doing. Except for there's this track up here. And this track, every time you get one of these little symbols, this goes up. And then every turn, and there's 8 rounds, or every round, you're going to score based on here. So you want to get that up. I got mine up a little bit earlier than hers.
Mm.
And because of that ratio, I ended up with about 7 or 8 extra points just from those,
Okay.
which ended up being a huge thing in the end. But it does feel like when we play this, you can't do everything, right? There's just no way
Right.
you're going to be able to fill out all these tracks. I found the engineering track to be the least useful.
Mm.
And I don't know that every time we play this, I'm not going to also look at this, look at the maps, look at, these tracks. Because on these maps, I don't know if you talked about this, uh, there's different icons that show up somewhere, and you can only do like one track at a time until you unlock another one, costs
Mm.
8 money. And so if I get this icon, then on this other board over here, then I can go to one of these things and get the points for it. And you have to have all these things lined up. You have to be able to, get to this one engineering place and get to this room where you're going to score if you get, building E. And then you got to get over here to building E, and you got to get to that track, and you got to get
Right.
all the way around. And and then in the end of the game, when there's only like 1 or 2 rounds left, that's when this gets really crunchy, because you're like,
Yeah.
all right, what do I have? What can I do? What can I still do to gain some points? And then that stupid red die that comes out and it tells you what you can't do.
The auditor. Yeah, we didn't mention that.
So I needed testing, and testing is the one symbol that allows you to start moving around on these tracks
Right.
down here.
Right. Right.
And so we get this red die, and every round it's going to tell you where you can't go. And I couldn't go to testing, and that's all I needed to do in the last round to get like another 6 points. Um, my wife read the rule book, so I didn't
Mm.
read it, but I did, look for certain things. We did have a couple of questions and things that weren't exactly clear in the rule book.
Okay.
So, there was a few things that were like, well, I mean, I guess it makes more sense to do it like this. It doesn't really say, and that's a little annoying. But usually,
Mm.
especially once the game's been out for a while, you can probably find that on BGG. Like, I'm not the only person that's going to have this question.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But I mean, I liked it. It was one play, but I definitely, I don't know how much replayability it's going to have, because it doesn't seem like every time it can play, I can try something new. I mean, I could.
See, I disagree. I feel like there's so much to do.
I feel like just looking at these two sheets, there's a certain path. Well, because you're only going to do one, maybe two engineering things. So which of these two buildings in engineering are you going to be able to get so that you can get the points on this other? Either you knock.
I'm looking forward to figuring more stuff out in terms of that.
I am as well, but I'm afraid that in my head, every time I play this, I'm going to use the same strategy,
Mm.
right? Because the maps don't change that much, and it's not like these different symbols that you're looking for start mixing up and going in different places.
Mm.
If you're looking for the building C, it's always going to be in the same track or engineering area.
Right.
And if that doesn't line up with how I want to go over on this other map and do my testing, then I might choose to always ignore most of engineering and that first testing track.
Mm.
But again, this is a first play.
Yeah. So first impressions, if you had to give it a number
If I
out
had to
of
give it a number,
10, I guess.
I think I'd give it a 7.5.
Okay.
Right? Because I feel like it could be an 8 if based on a few more plays, because it's really cool. It's different. It's unique. It's a roll and write. It's again. I know I complained a lot about learning the game because it's not an easily understood game or rule book, but it's not written poorly either. There's just a lot going on for something so small.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, 7.5 because maybe it could drop down to a 7 where it's just a good roll and write.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think I'm at an 8.5 for my
Oh,
first
okay.
impression. Yeah. And then again, obviously that could move. I mean, it could go down. Um, but I think if I put it there and play it again, it would have to really blow me away to go up. But if it underwhelms me, obviously it might go down. But I just like I wanna play it again. Like I'm itching to play it again.
I want to like it more,
Okay. Yeah,
right? Like I like Three Sisters, and
yeah.
as boring as a theme as some people might think that is, I happen to think that's cool. Like we don't own Fleet, but I also think that's cool. And this is, it's cars. You're testing cars. You're getting buildings and money, and I don't know how all of it makes sense, but it's fun. There's a lot going on. There's different paths, but like I said, it could end up being this thing where every time I play, I want to take the same path. And it's
Yeah.
just going to be how well can I do that?
Yeah, yeah. Only time will tell.
Yeah.
Cool. But for now, we're both excited to get this one to the table again.
Mm
Those gentlemen have already announced the next one
hmm. Mm.
in this series. They teased a couple of images. I believe it's
Oh,
called
can I guess the
French.
theme?
Oh, sorry.
Is it underwater?
No,
Oh, they did that. That's fishing. Oh, is it wildlife?
no.
All right, I got nothing.
I think it's called French Quarter. So it's about New Orleans somehow. So it may be an architectural type thing. I'm not
Hmm.
sure. Yeah. Whatever it is, we're looking forward to it. All right. So that's our last of the last three. Motor City. Time for another
Haiku.
poetic interlude. My haiku. All right, here we go. Explore on a grid. Move forward, never backward. Watch out for the fog.
Oh, that's a good one.
Hmm,
Adventureland.
that is correct.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about because I know that game has like three scenarios to play, and I think I've only played the simplest one. So I didn't know if that moving
Yeah.
backwards thing
And we haven't
was a
played that
thing.
one in a while either.
Yeah, that's good. That's from Haba.
That is a good one. All right, so
Cool.
now we're getting to the hotness.
So hot in her. All right, what's up first?
Earth.
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 Yeah, this one's getting a lot of buzzy buzz.
This one is designed by Maxime or Maxime. I'm really not sure how that's pronounced. Tardif, published by Inside Out Games. It actually is not out yet. I believe, it's a Kickstarter. And it's
Yeah, I
coming
think
out
so.
in March. Released in 2023. It's 45 to 90 minutes and it plays 1 to 5. So that's a pretty nice sounding time frame.
Hmm.
And ages 13 and up. Now, this picture off here on the side was from BGG. This is actually, I think, from Wendy Yee of the Dice Tower. So Dice Tower's got this game. So keep your eyes on that because they might have a review. Might be up already. I don't know. I've been playing video games. So this is a hand management card game. I guess it's an engine builder kind of game, and it's got nature themed cards. I don't know if you're putting them out in a grid similar to like an Everdell kind of thing or what, but I'm immediately interested in this type of game just because of the theme.
Right.
Now, from what I can see and speculate, it's not so much artwork as it is photography. I could
Okay.
be wrong. I could be wrong on that. I really didn't put in the research, but it looks cool. I don't know how I feel about realistic artwork versus photography, but I don't think it really matters that much.
Hmm.
So I'm definitely interested in this. I'm gonna keep my eyes on the YouTube to see somebody else talk about this one because this one looks cool.
Nice. Yeah, it does look. I mean that cover is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Hmm.
All right. Next up here in the hotness, Now there's two
Archaeos.
games up here. Explain this to me.
So Archaeos Society or Archaeos Society, I don't know how it's pronounced. That looks like a really cool cover though, right?
Hmm.
Kind of looks like you got a little bit of maybe like the Indiana Jones vibe with like that, like the golden idol in the middle, and
Yep.
you don't know
Yep.
what you're getting. It could be like a Seven Wonders. It's a re-implementation of Ethnos or Ethnos.
Mhm.
So they were both designed by Paolo Mori. This one is published by Space Cowboys, released in 2023. Game length is 60 minutes, no more, no less, apparently. And it plays 2 to 6, ages 12 and up. This is a area influence, hand management, set collection game with some open drafting. Now, I've never played Ethnos, but there's also, I think, some push your luck. I'm not sure how that really falls into it, but you have there's 5 or 6 different factions of cards that you kind of shuffle together, and they're all they can be different each game, and that's what I think everybody's using as the cards that they're open drafting. So that's where you're getting your hand from. And depending on if they're the same color or if they're all from the same faction, you're playing them out as set collection in order to get these tokens of certain colors that have to match the color of the place that you're at or the land, so that does the area influence.
Hmm.
I am not the one to talk much about this game. I know a lot of people love this game. I've heard a lot of praise for this game,
Yeah.
and it seems like it's got pretty simple rules. But yeah, that's the hotness. Archaeos, right? Archaeos. That's probably it's got that
Chaos.
archaeology, so that's
Yeah. Yeah.
automatically something I'm interested in. Now the ethnos that was like fantasy, so
Right.
I guess you got dwarves and goblins and things like that. These are your factions. So for this, maybe you're doing like different eras, and you shuffle them all in, and you're like finding archaeological evidence, and it's just pasted on theme. But
Yeah.
it sounds like it could be completely different and cool.
Sounds hot.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next up, there was a big shakeup here in the board game geek ratings. Put whatever
Ooh.
stock into that you want. But the number one was dethroned recently, which was Gloomhaven. Dethroned by whom, you ask? A game that I have not played, but is
Hmm.
obviously widely popular, called Brass Birmingham. So Brass Birmingham plays 2 to 4, anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, ages 14 and up. This came out in 2018, designed by Gavin Brown, Matt Tolman, and Martin Wallace, with art by Lena Cassette, David Forrest, and Damian Memoliti from Roxley Games. So this was kind of big news. This is an economic strategy game that's actually a kind of a sequel to a game that was just called Brass that came out many years before that.
Was it Brass Lancashire?
That's another game.
Oh,
I don't know the difference on all of them. Many people will know better than I, and they'll probably let us know in the comments.
yeah.
But yeah, basically, it's an economic game where you're going to be like establishing these networks of canals and railways by just increasing your victory points, basically to sell your stuff and get goods and things like that, and expand your network to do that more often in more places. I guess I don't know. I just put this up here because it was a big thing that happens overall. Again, I don't have much of an opinion because I haven't played this game and I've only played Gloomhaven one time. So I'm not the fan base to definitely comment on this too much further, but I thought that was at least newsworthy to put in there.
Absolutely.
I knew the
Yeah,
number
I
one.
haven't played any of the Brass games.
I bet you they'll flip flop again. They might
I,
even be different by the time this goes up. Who
I'll
knows?
tell you what, they have some really great art, at least on the boards that I've seen.
Hmm.
Like the boards just look like very welcoming. Like not that there might be a lot going on, but they look cool. You wanna know
Yeah.
what that game is in case you like it.
Yeah. No, I mean, given a good teacher, I'm sure I would take a stab at it and
Yeah,
maybe even like it. But yeah, that's the hotness there for you. Now we have a little extra hotness here because we're doing things completely different this episode. but we're going to kind of round it back up with the way we started, which is back to the old video games. So our next hotness is in the video game realm. Is that correct?
That is true. The next few games that I personally am excited about, and I know a lot of people are. So, first we got Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, which is a multiplayer game, cooperative multiplayer. That is, I think that just came out recently. Hogwarts Legacy, I believe that comes out in April. It's a Harry Potter themed, I don't know, game where you're maybe it's an RPG. I'm really not sure,
I think
but
so.
I'm interested, and I know my wife's interested. And then finally, in May is the Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, which people have been waiting for ever since Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
So this is going to be the next kind of Breath of the Wild, huge open world Zelda game. So that's not necessarily going to be found on Board Game Geek, the hotness, but these
Well,
games
maybe
are
Video Game Geek.
very hot. That's true. There might be a Video Game Geek. I don't know.
I think there is. I'm almost positive.
Oh, nice.
I think you can get to it from Board Game Geek, actually.
All right.
Let
Maybe
me
we
see
should have
what's
checked there before I just threw up three games that I thought were popular.
Well, I listen. These are three very popular franchises here, so I'm sure you guessed well.
Yeah.
So that's the Wii hotness, and that's gonna start to wrap things up for us here on this episode, momentous number 10. We will try our very best to get a March episode up and running before the end of that month.
But just in case we don't, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
There you go. Yes, happy St. Patrick's Day to you. Happy spring, all that stuff that's around
Yeah.
the corner.
Well,
As
spring's
of
April, though, right?
no, spring starts in March,
Oh, okay.
March 21st, I think, 20th to 21st.
Got it.
And it's been, at least in our neck of the woods, a pretty mild winter overall in terms of snowfall. We're on like record lows for sure. I
Yeah.
know that's not true for the whole country, but in this place where we're kind of used to getting a few pretty decent storms, we're almost at the end of February and nothing yet. Although I just saw a little advisory pop up as we were recording, so maybe we'll
Yeah.
get some snow tomorrow. Who knows?
We might get, we were told we might get up to an inch tomorrow between 7 and
Hey,
10 p.m.
watch out!
All right.
All right, folks. As always, thanks for watching and or listening, and feel free to share the channel. Get some more people to like and subscribe this stuff that we're
Yep.
trying to do for you on a semi-consistent basis. Until next time, my name is Anthony,
My name is Eric.
and we are the Board Game Dads. We'll see you probably in a month. Who knows?
Hmm.
Bye.